Plates ready? This is Food School, Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast. Want to feel amazing, love the way you look in the mirror, and perform your absolute best in the gym, at work, and in life? You're definitely in the right place. Food. It's you. It builds every single cell of you. And if there is one thing every human being must master, it's food. Because at the very least, eating, you do it every day, several times a day, every single day. You might as well get good at it. I'm your host, Shurina from Create Yourself That Today, your personal nutritionist and plate watcher, your diet guide and explorer, your fat loss coach and food inspector. And just someone with a lot of passion and obsession and curiosity for healthy food, healthy diets, nutrition, optimized human performance, everything and absolutely anything you put in your grocery shopping cart, your fridge, on your plate, and in your mouth. It's my business. Food School, on a mission to help you eat better daily.
It's the last time I talk about food. It's the last time I talk about food.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast. And today, guys, we will be talking about something interesting from our food industry, from our nutrition industry that is connected to your own health and wellness and also weight loss and fat loss journey. So Kind Snacks, you probably are familiar with this big and very popular company, the snacks of which, especially bars, you can find almost at any grocery store in US at least. So Kind Snacks lowers calorie count after USDA research. More than 95% of the company's nut bar portfolio will be impacted by the finding, which showed ingredients including almonds and cashews have fewer calories than previously thought. So basically, this article on Food Dive, this is an online magazine for food industry, for people who are interested in the development in our food system. So anyhow, this article talks about this new research that is still going on, because we have so many foods and so little recent research on the actual amount of absorbable by human digestive system calories from those foods that this study is probably going to go on for quite a while. But to give you some better idea of what I'm talking about is most of the data on the energy value of foods, also known as calories, was generated in the late 1980s and in the early 90s. And so since then, guys, all of the companies, all of the products, all of the databases, all of the things that you can Google when it comes to energy and calories, they are all based on that research that was not that precise, and it was not based on the science we have today about how our digestive system works. And also at that time, nothing was tested with the human digestive system in mind, and all different parts of foods that are digested differently. So for example, fibers, plant fibers, they are digested very differently depending on an individual digestive system, and also not just individual digestive system but on the workings of human digestive system in general. But also the same applies to any of our foods. Let's say chicken breast or any sorts of protein-rich foods compared to protein shake. Protein shake or protein powder is a very processed food. It's a powder, and the amount of calories you're going to absorb from that compared to whole food rich in protein is going to be vastly different. You're probably going to absorb everything in that protein powder when it comes to calories. If not anything, then much closer to that than if you compare that to, let's say, chicken breast or a steak, where your digestive system has to actually break down the tissues where the protein is where the protein is in that food. And so let me read you something from the research of USDA. So, for example, let's take nuts. In their studies, they found that the calorie uptake from pistachios was 5% less that is in the databases that you can look up today. So if you eat raw pistachios, then you're gonna absorb 5% less calories from what you can look up. Take walnuts, you're gonna absorb walnuts 21% less of calories from raw walnuts and raw whole walnuts, guys. And if you take almonds, it's even more. Almond is actually the the leanest nut, because you absorb the least calories from all of the other nuts that were researched so far. So from raw whole almonds, you're gonna absorb 32% less calories. So you're gonna absorb from 1 ounce of almonds somewhere around 130 calories instead of 170 calories that is now in the databases and in all the labels. Even if you buy like whole almonds, you usually see per ounce somewhere between 168 170 calories, when in reality your body actually absorbs somewhere around 130 calories. So 32% less you're gonna get. And to that point, guys, and so the whole story was that Kind Snacks now will put on their label the actual amount of calories from the recent research, not from the research that was done in 1980s or at the beginning of the century. But that being said, guys, remember that it doesn't just go for the nuts, but it goes to almost any food. That's why I always say, just by switching to whole foods, so meaning instead of olive oil, you eat actual olives. Instead of coconut oil, you eat actual coconuts. So just by switching to completely whole foods diet, where you actually have to chew your food, and also that goes to smoothies. If you put your carrots or your broccoli into the smoothie and you blend it, it's not the same as if you actually chew it. You absorb much less of everything when you actually chew your food. And the same goes for all the fats. That's why I always tell people, fats in a whole food package, be that fatty fish or be that nuts and seeds, you'll absorb much less, but at the same time you're going to experience much more satiety than if you just eat let's say, I don't know, olive oil, or you consume some nut butter. So when it comes to nuts also, guys, whole nuts, raw whole nuts will give you the least amount of calories, no matter the nut. Then when it comes to nut butter, or then when it comes to roasted nuts, you will absorb more calories, because roasting also frees some calories for absorption for human body. When it comes to nut butter, you're gonna absorb even more. And when it comes to oil, that's where you absorb almost everything. That's why, again, if you want to reap the benefits of olives, then probably, and you want to watch your weight, then probably eating olives, not olive oil, is going to be more beneficial. And so even on the paper, even in the databases, you're going to be eating the same amount of calories from whole foods than someone who doesn't eat that many whole foods. You're still going to, at the end of the day, absorb less. And if you are absorbing 30% less calories from your almonds and you eat them every day, it's quite a big difference, and it does make a difference when it comes to continuous weight loss or weight maintenance. And plus, again, whole foods will support your sense of satiety, will prolong your feeling of satiety for much longer than any sorts of smoothies, meal replacement drinks, juices, extracts, I don't know, powders. That's why, again, for people who want to stay the leanest and enjoy still a lot of delicious foods, I would really recommend you to stick with whole food diets. And also understand, guys, that dairy products, for example, quite a processed foods, you absorb almost all of the calories from that compared to, let's say, steak or fish or some other whole foods. If you take, again, protein powder compared to actual protein-rich foods, you're gonna absorb more calories and get less satiety from a protein shake. So you want to stay the leanest, you want to lose more weight, then stick to whole foods. And that's why I also believe diet high in processed foods, even if those processed foods have not harmful ingredients, like let's say what can it be, again, like maybe coconut oil. Yes, so coconut oil is still processed foods. Now it can be extra virgin, it can be cold pressed, but it's still a processed foods, because whole food alternative is actual coconut that has a lot of fiber, that is super rich in fiber actually, and other structures that your body has to work through to get the calories, to get the fats. So even if you like drinking juices or smoothies, they're still quite processed compared to their whole food alternatives. And so if you want to maintain weight, if you want to lose weight, if you want to have the most satiety, always go for whole foods, no matter how clean the label of that processed food is. And that's why also all kinds of shakes are not optimal for satiety, for weight loss, but also for just getting all the nutrients. A lot of times raw alternative, like for example, let's say raw bell pepper compared to cooked bell pepper. A lot of vitamins like vitamin C is temperature and light sensitive. So the more you expose it to some sort of processing, like boiling or frying, the same with nuts, the less, usually the lower the quality of the vitamins and minerals that you get. Like a lot of minerals, of course, also heat not non-sensitive, but things like vitamins, a lot of them, and a lot of fatty acids essential for human health, are also temperature sensitive. So what I'm trying to say here is, and what this study prove, and what I've been saying for so long for people, whole foods always work better. Like you take satiety, you take weight maintenance, you take nutrients that come from those foods and how they work in your body and how much of them you're getting. It all works better in whole foods. In most cases, like when it comes again to protein, when we cook it, when we denature it, we absorb more, and it's beneficial because if you eat raw meat, your body will be able to absorb less, but then it's going to be super unpleasant and you can get sick easier from all the bacteria. Anyhow, what I'm trying to say is, and what this studies show, if you love your nuts, eat them whole, eat them raw, and you'll absorb much less calories. In the case of almonds, 30%, 32% less calories. But switch to whole foods diet as much as possible. All the studies will be in the show notes and the articles, so you can read more in details about nut study. And the last story from food industry for today is, I wanted to share a new food that I recently learned about. Armor Lane Foods debuts plant-based Betterine spread made from coconut oil. We're not claiming that it's healthy, but it is natural. So basically, it's a spread based on coconut oil, and the only other ingredients are water, soy lecithin, that is emulsifier. Basically, it makes the stuff in our food mix well, and there is no negative studies, and they put very tiny amount of it, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. So it's made of coconut oil, water, soy lecithin, and arrowroot powder that is basically a tuber, and they extracted just the fibers from it. So also quite a clean ingredient list. And the coconut oil, in the article they also say that they use a special process that doesn't affect coconut oil on a molecular level in any way, and the spread looks like butter. But what I also find kind of funny, because if it looks like butter and it's a spread, you would think that you would want it to taste like butter. But what they say is about the taste, let me read you this again, I find it funny. We couldn't find a properly natural flavor that we were comfortable adding, so they didn't add any flavoring. If you need the flavor of butter, you're not going to get it. But in things where you just need the mouth feel of butter, you'll get it. And also they're not saying it's healthy, they're just saying it's all natural. And on the picture it looks like butter. Anyhow, I don't know why anyone would get a spread that doesn't taste like anything and has coconut oil in it and some powder, some root powder. Like, you might as well get just coconut oil or coconut butter that is quite actually pleasant and definitely all natural. So didn't really understand that. But again, the news for today, guys, for you to use is eating whole nuts is not the same as eating nut butters when it comes to calories. So whole nuts are much leaner, quote unquote, than nut butters. Raw nuts are much leaner, not much, but still leaner than roasted nuts. And the leanest nut, where you absorb the least amount of calories, the least amount of fats, is actually a raw almond. And kind snacks will be updating, or already updated, their nutrition label to align with the recent research about the absorbable calories from nuts that is being done by USDA, and it's not funded by anyone or anything. Kind snacks has nothing to do with this study. They learned about that some time ago. And that's it, guys. So eat whole foods diet and you're gonna look better, feel better, get more nutrients, and stay leaner. And that's why I'm such a huge advocate of all foods whole, because maybe our bodies are whole, and the foods that are whole work better, because it's like with our body. If you take away one hand, your body will not probably work as well. So maybe the same for foods. They're like small systems that we consume to make our system work better. And maybe if you delete some part of that system, maybe you extract the water by dehydration, or maybe you blend it or make it into powder, removing a lot of stuff, maybe there is something lost. And that's why we kind of like deep shit when it comes to health and nutrition, right? So eat your foods whole, stay healthy, stay lean, and as usual, till next time, eat better daily.